think we just witnessed the signature moment of the Iowa Hawkeye season. We'll get into the Iowa-Nebraska duel, Penn State, Michigan, what Josh Barr just did against Cardenas, a couple of other big upsets, some returners to the lineup, and some other duels, odds, and ends on what was a great Friday evening of wrestling. You got to sit down at it was Texas time, so I think we started like 5 o'clock here in Texas, and we were wrestling. There were great D1 duels happening until like 10, 11 o'clock here. It was amazing. And it got started with Penn State versus Michigan, but I'm going to start with Iowa versus Nebraska, where I think they just had the signature moment of their season. And of course, going into this duel, you knew it was going to be close, and you knew Nebraska had a real shot at this. We'll get into the results. You had Caleb Smith taking out Joey Cruz. Not a lot to talk about in that match. Not a lot of offense there from either side. 33, great win for Drake Ayala over a very dangerous Jacob Van D. And Van D was unable to generate a lot of offense, and Drake was able to get in some nice, it was one takedown, I believe, in the match for Ayala. He had to work hard for the finish because Van D, one of the best scramblers in the game, but Ayala continues to look as sharp as can be and one of the top 133 pounders in the country. And yes, he absolutely is right there to win a national title for the Hawks. 141, Brock Hardy Cruz, and then 149. On paper, this was maybe the match most people were circling, highlighting, underlining, looking forward to. Kyle Parko and Ridge Lovett. Now, on paper, you would say, well, Ridge Lovett's probably been a little bit better this year. He has a major decision over Shane Van Ness. Van Ness just beat Parko. Well, Parko is now 3-0 against Ridge Lovett. It was one takedown match where in the third period, it was an underhook, a body lock, kind of a trip, and he ends up on top. And the upper body position is actually where Parko is really good, as well as, and he can match some of the upper body prowess of Ridge Lovett. So another huge win for Kyle Parko over Ridge Lovett. So now you've got this triumvirate where Van Ness beats Parko, Parko beats Lovett, Lovett beats Van Ness. And then you also have Caleb Henson looming as the number one guy in America. He's still undefeated with a win over Ridge Lovett this year. So big win for Kyle Parko. Way to bounce back after a loss to Shane Van Ness. 57, Estrada, no teamer for the Iowa Hawkeyes. You saw Jacorian Street close in the back there. Antrell had a hard time scoring on Miguel Estrada, but got that takedown in the third period and was able to win that one. And then at 65, Caliendo cruises against a very tough Minto from Nebraska. He's been a surprise for the Huskers this year. He's done a nice job. And then at 74, this was maybe the match of the dual meet. Lenny Pinto and Patrick Kennedy. And it starts off 7-point move for Lenny Pinto. And you're thinking, oh, wow, this is going to be a blowout. And then he gets another takedown, and it's like 10-1. And next thing you know, Kennedy gets away. He gets a 7-pointer of his own to close out the first period. And it's 10-9 after the first period in favor of Lenny Pinto. Then you get to the third period, and it's 11-11. Patrick Kennedy, he's looking really good. He rides Pinto for a long time. That riding time point is coming. He gets away, and it's effectively 11-11 with riding time basically locked for Kennedy. And Pinto picks his spot. You could tell he was probably fading a little bit. He had one last burst, single leg to the back, and he gets takedown and near fall on Kennedy to win a match, a great match. Hopefully we see that one again at Big Tens, maybe even NCAAs. But Pinto wins that one, and just like that, the Huskers are in position to win this dual meet. And then you go to 184, Silas Allred taking on Gabe Arnold. And this was a number of escape acts for Gabe Arnold. I mean, he was nearly taken down so many times, and you see the defense, you see the scrambling, and Gabe Arnold does such a good job of keeping himself in these matches. But Allred's persistence pays off. He gets a takedown late and is able to take out Gabe Arnold, handing him his first loss of the season. And then you start doing a little bit of math going into 197. The Huskers are up 7 points. And this is where we get to the signature moment of the Iowa season, in my opinion. They're down 7 at Carver. And so, you know, with 2 matches left, that means you got to get a bonus point at some point. And you look at 97 or heavyweight, who's most likely to get it? You would say probably Stephen Buchanan. And Stephen Buchanan knows that. He knows, hey, if we're going to win this duel, I'm probably going to need to get a bonus point. And so right away, Stephen Buchanan, you can tell he is on a mission, not just to score, but to score a lot of points. But for all his efforts in the first period, he can't get a takedown. He's in deep. He's pressuring hard. He's bringing him to the edge. He gets a stall warning, but he can't get a takedown. Then you start doing the math in your head. All right, he's got a lot of work to do in just 4 minutes of time. And he ends up getting 2 takedowns in the second period, and it's all right. It's in the balance, and he gets an escape and another takedown in the third, and it's like, all right, he's at the bonus point. And then you can tell he makes a decision. I'm not just going for the major here. I'm going for the tech. And then it ends up being like the vintage. It reminded me of the Metcalf moment against Iowa State's Mitch Mueller, where he's broken Mueller, and Mueller kind of posts up, and you got the cow catcher position, and Metcalf takes him over at Hilton. It was crazy. Well, it was a really similar thing here where Buchanan is pressuring hard, and you think he's going to cut, and the guy, McDaniel, lifts his arm. Cow catcher gets the pin, and the place is going insane. It was the moment for Carver Hawkeye Arena this year. It was incredible. And just like that, Iowa takes all the momentum, and all Ben Keeter has to do is get his hand raised in a match he's favored to win. And Keeter does just that, closing it out, and the Hawkeyes beat Nebraska again. It was right there for Nebraska to do it. Buchanan, really incredible. I mean, it was a moment. Obviously, he's supposed to win the match, and a bonus point is not the surprise. But if you go and watch that match, just his persistence, how hard he was working, the amount of effort, it was a signature. It was like vintage Iowa wrestling. When you think about Iowa wrestling, it's things like that. It's a little bit close, and then your pace and pressure win out. And that's what you saw with Stephen Buchanan. So amazing duel. I mean, for sure, the duel of the day. And then thinking about Penn State, they blanked Michigan 39-0. Insane. I think the stat was Michigan hadn't been shut out since 2010. So over 15 years since the Wolverines have taken a beating like that. And it's not a big surprise, but the match where they were favored 197, Jacob Cardenas versus Josh Barr. What can you say about Josh Barr? He lost to Buchanan last week, and you're like, okay, here's another huge test for Josh Barr. And early on, it seemed like he just had a little more fire, a little more grit, a little more hustle. He's even in the positions that don't earn any points, you could tell he just had a little bit more. And then it goes to sudden victory. No one scores. And then it goes to the tiebreakers. And Cardenas does a good job of getting away really, really quickly. And so then Barr makes a decision. He's got like 8 or 9 seconds to get away. And so you start doing the math with tiebreakers. Even if you get away in 10 seconds, you're still losing. So you got to get away fast or get a reversal or escape takedown. It's a really big challenge with just 30 seconds to do it. And Cardenas rides, and they get a restart, and he's past that 8 seconds. And at that point in time, you would have thought, or you wonder if it entered Cardenas' mind, should I just cut him here? And then he's got to take me down to win. He's got to do it in like 15, 20 seconds. Instead of doing that, Cardenas continues to ride. And Barr is wrestling like crazy underneath, and he finds a leg, and he ends up getting his hips on top, and he gets the reversal right as the match would end. Barr steals it at the last second, taking out Jacob Cardenas. To me, he's the number 2 guy in America with a win like that. He should definitely pass Cardenas. His only losses to number 1 Stephen Buchanan. And every step of the way in this season, Barr just keeps climbing the ladder. And it's not just his skill. This guy brings a level of fight. He brings a level of intensity that is going to make him really tough to beat in any match, but particularly at the national tournament. And yes, Penn State's got another one. They've got another one with Josh Barr. And whether he stays at 197 or goes down to 184, this is going to be a formidable guy and a guy that's going to be on the short list to win a title for this year and the next 3 years of his career. Just really, really impressive stuff. Not much else to talk about from that duel. Talking about Ohio State taking on Minnesota. Minnesota ends up winning that one. We saw Gable Steveson versus Nick Feldman. And the story in this duel was really 2 superstars looking a little more mortal than usual. And Gable's standard is so high that a major decision, he looked a little bit mortal. But he got a little bit tired, I think. There were a couple instances where, Feldman had some angles for takedowns, didn't get any scores. But at the end of the day, Gable got his hand raised, and he did so in pretty lopsided fashion. But this is a guy who's had only pins in Texas this year, so he got a major decision. That stands out a little bit. Good match by Nick Feldman there, who I think could have been hit for stalling a little bit more. But then in this match at 141, Jesse Mendez pushed to the absolute brink by Vance Von Bar. And this was a match where I think Von Bar was feeling a lot better than Jesse Mendez was that night. Von Bar was coming after him. He was in on legs, and Mendez was fighting off leg attacks from Von Bar most of this match. And it came down to an overtime. It was a tiebreaker scenario, I believe, and Mendez was able to get some more riding time. But even still, a 6-5 tiebreaker too. Vance Von Bar is an absolute dog. Wrestled really, really tough. Mendez, this is a match where a lot of guys, the elite guys, they'll lose it. But Mendez just has that next level of competitor, of drive, where he wasn't feeling good, he wasn't wrestling his best, and he still found a way to get his hand raised. So you still got to give a lot of credit to Mendez for beating Von Bar, who was all over him. But it was Minnesota that wins this one 20-17. Max McAnally shut it down at the end. He beat Ryder Rogoski, and Max McAnally, the freshman 184-pounder, continues to have an amazing, amazing season for the Gophers. What else happened here? Let me look. Brendan McCrone beat Cooper Flynn. Dominant win for McCrone, who's on a little bit of a slide, and then he took out Cooper Flynn. 9-0 final, I believe, in that one. Is a major decision, so nice showing there. Ben DeVino wrestled again for the Bucks, and he took out Tyler Wells of Minnesota. So that's another nice win for true freshman Ben DeVino. He's still going to redshirt. It's going to be Bouzakis, but DeVino going to be the real deal next year for Ohio State. A couple other odds and ends, and I'll let you go. Braxton Brown takes out Dylan Shaver of Rutgers. Brown, a really tough guy for Maryland at 133. Keep your eye out on him. Really good athlete. Always had that. Now he's putting the other pieces together. Beats the Big Ten champion Dylan Shaver. Nice win, Braxton Brown. Connor McGonigal, he's missed a lot of the year, right, for Virginia Tech. He transferred from Lehigh to Virginia Tech. And some big duels, and he's missed them. He returns for Stanford, and so that's, okay, you got Tyler Knox. This is a guy with a win over Drake Ayala. This is a guy with a lot of elite wins this year. Well, they go 0-0 into regulation because they both rode each other out 2 minutes straight, and then McGonigal gets the takedown in overtime to win 3-0. So a huge win for Connor McGonigal, and this is now a conference match. Stanford's in the ACC now, so these two will see each other again at the ACC tournament. Ethan Styles eluded, as they call him. He beats Chance Lamer. He is on a hot streak. This is a guy that started at 157. He cut down to 149. He's been really good for Oregon State. And also for Oregon State, Trey Munoz back in the lineup. He missed a large chunk of time. He got a win. Oregon State takes out Cal Poly. Keep your eye out on Ethan Styles. I think he's really tough. And then final result. And that was it. That was all I had for the week for Friday. Great evening of wrestling. There's more this weekend, although a lot of it was Friday because Sunday's is the Super Bowl. So they move all the duels and they make Friday really heavy with a lot of great action. So amazing duel. What did I miss? What were your favorite moments of Friday night in wrestling?